Hello, everybody, and welcome back to South of the Mouth Sports. My name is Jeremiah. This is my brother, Brandon. We are to bring you some score updates, some big news out of college football this week. And man, what a doozy we had in Ohio yesterday. Or Saturday. My goodness, man. Ohio State and Oregon, they played 35-28. Oregon took the win. And Brandon, you kind of predicted that game. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm no savant by any stretch of the imagination, but I really liked Oregon's speed when I watched them, the previous weekend, and I did not like Oregon. I didn't like Ohio State on defense. I thought they were really weak. I thought they were underprepared, and I just felt like Oregon's speed on offense and speed on defense was going to be a problem for them. The other thing that really stood out to me was everybody's looking at CJ Stroud and saying he played a really great game, and I'm not saying he didn't. But one thing that's really notable is when they get pressure on him, he panics, and you can put up 400 plus yards and throw for 3 or 4 touchdowns or whatever, but when the game's on the line, you can't throw a pick.
Yeah,
that's a thing you cannot do. So I think their defense got exposed by Oregon. That's a game that Oregon's got some great players, but their 2 best defensive players were out of the game. Thibodeaux and I think Flo. This is Justin Flo. I think it's the other guy. I can't remember his name, but you're missing your 2 best defensive players, and Ohio State still with a stacked team could put it down. So coaching, better game plan. Hart came down to it, I think, a lot too. And I mean, Oregon was in control of the game the whole time, and they never let up. So I love watching it, and I like to see teams play with that kind of fire.
I don't hate Ohio State by no means, but they're not my favorite team in college football. We've established that we're Alabama fans. Obviously, we still got a little bit of beef with Ohio State, even though we beat the crap out of them last year. I'm still holding on to that 2014 loss where, we just,
String quarterback.
Yeah.
Cardale Jones.
The third string quarterback who didn't pan out in the NFL. Look, CJ Stroud threw for 484 yards Saturday on 54 passing attempts. He was 35 for 54 with a pretty solid QBR of 81.4. It just where this Ohio State team keeps getting beat is on the ground.
Yeah.
Right. So this is back-to-back weeks where the leading rusher for the opposing team, we seen Minnesota. They had Mo Ibrahim go for 163 yards, I believe it was. This week we've seen CJ Verdell do the same thing on Ohio State defense. Their front 7 is not able to run and contain. They were not chipping off the edge. They were not cutting off the edge or anything, man. They were just they were getting destroyed.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. They cannot set the edge, and they're going to get ran all over. If they play, I'm not saying Oregon. I mean, Verdell was amazing. He was, NFL running back style that game. But you have to be able to set the edge if you're going to, be any kind of top level tier, football team. So Ohio State just didn't bring it. Now, I'm not saying they can't get it together by the end of the year. They might very well do that. I just, I don't think it's there. Another thing that's notable, and I heard this on Late Kick with Josh Payton. I love listening to Josh Payton. Shout out to him if he ever listens to this. But he made mention of the defensive coordinator there, and I can't think of the guy's name, but, he's been in the game since the late 80s, and he's never made it to this position, and now he's the defensive coordinator at Ohio State. There's a reason that he's never been a defensive coordinator, and it's not that doesn't have a position somewhere in the game. It's just not there, and there's that's it. Something is not clicking there, and there's a reason that he's never been picked for that position before. So you don't take somebody that's been in the game for 20, 30 years who's never made it there and be like, oh, okay, now you should do it. Like that, it's not an honorary position. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
I just, I got to watch bits and pieces of that game. I didn't get to watch the whole game, and kind of sucks because we were talking back and forth, and I just couldn't get the game to come on. For some reason, my internet's just acting weird this week. But like what the little bits and pieces that I did get to see, it was almost as if there's no communication defensively for Ohio State.
Right.
They just communicate linebacker to the rest of the team. They don't have a quarterback on that defense. They don't have a go-to guy that's going to like call out what they see and move everybody around. They don't have Alabama has Henry To'oTo'o who does that very, very well. And you see those Mike linebackers who take control of the flow of the game, and they really command their teammates to be in the position that they need to be in. Right. And it doesn't seem like Ohio State has a quarterback on defense by no means.
Not at all. You make a great point. The other two games I think we really should key in on are the which I don't really want to talk much about the Notre Dame game, but Notre Dame and FSU, because I think their games that they played this weekend, Notre Dame struggling against was it Toledo? Yeah, and FSU dropping that huge game to Jacksonville State really puts their game into perspective, because when you first look at the game from week one with FSU and Notre Dame, you're like, wow, this is just a really hard-fought competitive game. But then after you look at week two, you're like, okay.
No, to Florida State's defense and to Notre Dame's defense. Notre Dame had a ton of people out, like a ton of starters out. I think they had upwards of 20 of their 22 starters were like injured.
And that's true. There was a lot of injuries on both sides, both teams, and I think that probably played a key role in a lot of it. I would like to add too a little shout out to Chase Harrell for dropping this knowledge on us, because neither one of us knew this. But for Jacksonville State, a local high school player from Walker County, from Cordova High School, Colby Fuqua, was tied for second in team tackles for Jacksonville State. So I want to give a shout out to Colby Fuqua and Chase Harrell. Thank you guys for dropping that. Huge play. Jacksonville State repping Alabama, going down and taking down FSU. Sorry, FSU fans, if you're listening, but we do love our Alabama teams no matter which team it is.
We do not hate any other teams. We just strongly pull for any team in Alabama.
Yes.
I do want to round out that top five, though, because, we had a lot of cheese games, a lot of cupcake games, as you would say. Oklahoma beat Western Carolina 76-0. Alabama beat Mercer 48-14. UAB got demolished by Georgia. Sucks for UAB, man. We really thought that was going to be a little bit bigger of a showing.
Yeah.
And then we get to that number 5 team, Texas A&M.
Hang on, before we get there, Stetson Bennett may have just won that job away from JT Daniels, because JT Daniels cleared to play before the game, and then Stetson Bennett goes in there after he announced that the other quarterback was going to start. Stetson Bennett goes in there and just lights it up. Now, UAB is a team that even if you're a top 25 team, you don't want to see them coming, because they're well coached. There's talent on the roster, but Georgia still handled business, and the offense looked better with Stetson Bennett at the helm than they did with JT Daniels. Now, that either says a lot about the quarterbacks or a lot about Clemson's defense. I don't know which it is. It's really hard to tell in week 2. So we'll see more as the season plays out.
I think Clemson's defense is really, really good.
I think so too. I think this is a lot about Clemson's defense. And I think we're going to see that moving forward throughout the year.
Stetson Bennett, though, I'm glad you brought that up. He threw 12 total passes on Saturday, had a 100 QBR for 5 touchdowns and 288 yards. That's unreal.
Yeah.
When put into perspective of how terrible Georgia's offense was just a week ago. They couldn't even get the ball moving hardly at all. They scored 3 points on offense. The game changer was that defensive touchdown this week. And I know UAB and Clemson are not on the same level by no means, say, versus ACC. But
UAB not played for the Conference USA Championship last year.
Since they came back, they played for the Conference USA Championship every year.
This is not a scrub team.
No, this is not your throwaway team. And Georgia just went out and took care of business, man. They're showing that they belong.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But to keep moving forward, because I want to keep it on that time crunch, dude. What happened to Texas A&M after Haynes King went out?
Well, next man up, you know what I mean? You've got to be prepared for all eventualities and injuries. And I can't think of the quarterback that came in's name, but he looked panicked. He looked scared, and it wasn't until the end of the game, like that last the drive that they scored on, where he finally looked like he was comfortable with the football in his hands. Until then, I mean, it looked like terrified football. Like he looked scared.
All the reports coming out of spring was that his name is Zach Calzada, by the way.
Calzada, yeah. If he ever goes on a hot streak, he'll be in the calzone. I'm coining that right now.
Yeah, the calzone. Nah, this dude, they had like a real QB battle coming out of the spring from what everybody was reporting, that it was either Haynes King or this kid, and you know, they said it was a last minute decision last week to go with Haynes King.
Yeah.
And Haynes King came out proving he was ready to be the starter, and you know, I hate that he got injured, but like this Texas A&M team was the team that they were saying was going to beat Alabama, was going to contend for the SEC. It ain't looking like it.
Not without that other quarterback. Right now, it's looking like it's either Ole Miss or maybe Arkansas. What about Arkansas versus Texas, man?
Bro, dude, Arkansas and Texas was one of the best games I think I've watched. I watched a half of that football, that game, and I was just like blown away by this Arkansas team. I knew they were going to be better than they were last year. They came out, had a 7-win season or so last season, and you know, I wasn't expecting much from Sam Pittman, but it looks like he is. And I seen on Late Kick, I was watching that, and they were talking about the culture.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's huge.
It's so big.
You got to win there. You got to win that there, and you got to draw in the kids from Arkansas when you're recruiting, because they'll have big players coming out there. You don't need them going out to other schools. Pittman's got it, man, and he's got a great defensive coordinator there, and you know, he's building something. We're going to see moving forward, I think, and especially with Texas and Oklahoma coming in, there's going to be some great battles over the next several years, especially when they get in. I can't wait for it, man.
Dude, I'm excited. I'm excited to have Texas and Oklahoma come in. I think they're going to really round out the SEC, man. We need like one or two more, and it's not like bring them in for more wins or anything like that. It's just we need a more competitive background. I make jokes all the time on social media. We need to get rid of Tennessee. We need to get rid of Missouri. Everybody wants to keep Vandy. We need that. I mean, we love that win. I mean, we love that
average.
That GPA.
The GPA school. They got to be good at some sport. I'm not sure which one it is, though.
But, you know, I look at these games, man, back to back to back. We had a few struggle wins, but all in all, dude, our top 10 teams, top 20 teams, top 25 teams were really taking care of business. I think after week 1, we've seen so many teams go down. Now we're seeing these teams. I think, you know, Ohio State's going to be ranked right around where they need to be for the rest of the season, in that 10 to 15 range. I think that they're going to do a disservice to Oregon.
Yeah.
And they're Oregon outside of the top 5, and that's just not fair, because Oregon has proved that they deserve to be in top 5, if not top 4, by 2 wins in the top 25.
Well, I think that I haven't looked at the polls. I don't think. I'm not sure. Have they not released them?
I think they released them tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning.
Maybe so. Well, we got to wrap this one up. So I think we got some good stuff moving forward. We're going to move to the predictions for the next week. So, I love it. I'm excited, man. It's going to be a great season.
Dude, this past weekend, if anything goes to show, we got teams putting up points. We got teams competing. The last game that I really have on my visual right now that really stands out was the Stanford USC game. I made mention in the previous video that we had. We needed USC to be USC again, and
they fired Clay Helton.
Yeah, they did not look like the USC they needed to be. 42-28, downed by Stanford. I don't know what to think of the Pac-12. I think it's Oregon's league, but Oregon needs
UCLA's looking good so far. We'll see though.
We'll see how it goes moving forward. But yeah, the ACC and the Pac-12 need to start looking up.
Right on. We'll see you on the next